concerning this mystery. This word mystery is a word which means secret. And this is something that no one knows, no one on his own will know. This is a word that is very much akin to the Greek word we find in Ephesians, where Paul is talking about the great mystery. That word is mysterion, and that word carries with it the idea of a secret that no one will ever know unless God reveals it. Now, in the context of Ephesians chapter 2 and 3, what's the mystery? That no one would ever know unless God revealed it. Yep. No one would ever know that Gentiles were to be included in the church if Paul had not have directed their attention and their thoughts and revealed that to man in Ephesians chapter 2 and chapter 3. Great is the mystery. And so as we think about this term and this idea, now Daniel is talking about the fact that what has been asked of them, this mystery that they're being asked to unfold in the case of Nebuchadnezzar, no one of themselves has the ability to do that. And so these men who apparently claim to have this capability, then they were concerned. Daniel was concerned because Daniel and his men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they're going to get caught up in this as well. So this was literally a life and death situation for them. There was no doubt you're going to die. If you cannot reveal the dream and its interpretation, then you're going to die. So Daniel and his friends began to make requests, and they were requesting the compassion of God that they might be able to understand the mystery and that Daniel and his friends would not be destroyed with the rest of the wise men of Babylon. Now, whether the rest of these wise men understood this or not, we don't know that there was any communication between Daniel and them in any way, or between God and them in any way. But this was a life and death situation for them as well. The decree has been made, you destroy them all, kill them all. And so this was a life and death situation for them all. All right, verses 19 and following. Now the secret is revealed to Daniel. So notice, how did Daniel approach the king? How did he approach Nebuchadnezzar? Apparently through Arioch, who went in and had the king's ear and got the message passed on to him. And so then we see where now Daniel learns of the decree, and he learns of the seriousness of it. They petition God, and now we're going to see where their faithfulness is going to be rewarded, because the secret is going to be revealed. Then the mystery was revealed to Daniel in a night vision. Then Daniel blessed the God of heaven. Now, once again, there are thoughts on this idea of in a night vision. Now, this is what some would interpret as a dream. I don't know that it's a dream. I don't know that there would be any indication of that. Number one, what did we just say? What kind of situation was this? Okay? But what situation was this? Life and death. Are they going to sleep?
I don't believe they were sleeping.
No. He just saw it in a vision. He saw it. It was revealed to Daniel in a night vision. He got it at night, and it was a vision. God revealed it to him without question. And the moment it's revealed, then Daniel immediately did what? He blessed the God of heaven. Now, verses 20 and following is that blessing wherein Daniel and his friends, they were petitioning God. God revealed this vision, this dream unto Daniel, and then Daniel immediately gives thanks to the God of heaven for the revelation. So now he says, let the name of God be blessed forever and ever. For wisdom and power belong to him. Now here's the first thing in this 21st verse that we want to sort of think about and mention. It is he who changes the times and the epochs. Or some of your translations will say the seasons. It is God who changes the times and the seasons. Now, this is talking about God's sovereignty. And we hear things and we understand God is the sovereign ruler of the universe. But brethren, what does that mean in a practical way? He's the sovereign ruler of the universe. Do what? Okay, he is the ruler of everything. And brethren, we've looked in the Bible and there are instances where as sovereign ruler, God has decreed this to be done. This is what's going to be done. But then there are times when we look at God and we see in his sovereign rulership, he has allowed certain things to be done. Now, notice, whenever we think about the children of Israel, and they have already come in, they possess the promised land, and yet God decreed, what does that mean? God determined, you do this. This is what you must do. And then so he decreed, this is what you are to do. But then he also made another decree. If you don't do this, this is what's going to happen. Well, when did they get that decree? When did they receive that? And as they're getting ready, they're on the threshold of entering into the promised land. The book of Deuteronomy contains this. And so now you are to do this. And so when you look at that context and stuff where all that's presented, he says, now this is what I've done. I have set before you this day life and death, good and evil. You choose. Okay. Now here it is. Here's the decree. You disobey, you disobey, you disobey. You're going into captivity. But notice, I've set before you life and death. So he made a decree. This is what's going to happen if you disobey. This will happen if you obey. Now, what has he now allowed them to do? You choose. He determined this. This is what's going to happen. But then we see then he also allowed them to make a choice. So now he didn't, robot them and make them do certain things. No, he wanted them to do the things that he commanded them because they what? They loved him and they respected his sovereignty and his rulership. So notice, it is he who changes the times and the seasons or the epochs. Was the season, was it subject to change for Daniel and his friends and the rest of these supposed wise men if they did not interpret this dream? Was their season about to change? Yeah, it was on the threshold of changing. Now notice, God has given Daniel the interpretation. He's going to give it to him. Daniel's going to reveal that. But notice all the things that are involved here. We know Nebuchadnezzar's angry. We know he's already made the decree. He thinks his wise men are trying to fool him, and they're just waiting for things to get better in his mind. And so he knows all of that. And yet here we have Daniel, and he's petitioning God. And so now they're on the precipice of this life and death situation becoming horrible. And so then Daniel gets the interpretation. He tells Arioch, I can go in and talk to the king and reveal it to him. But then Daniel goes in and he tells him, this is the vision you saw. This is the application of it. Because right now you are the man, Nebuchadnezzar. God has chosen you. And so all of this is taking place. And what's the only miraculous thing that's going to happen in this entire event? Daniel telling the dream, receiving the dream. That's the only miraculous thing that is involved in this entire event at all. The rest of it is just what? People making choices. Could Nebuchadnezzar had said, that's not the vision I saw? Could he have done that? Yes. That's not the vision I saw. So therefore, all of you are going to be what? Executed. You're going to be put to death. You're going to be destroyed. And your houses are going to be destroyed. But here we see where Daniel and his friends have been petitioning God. And now Daniel is giving recognition to God as the sovereign God of the world. And it is you, God, who changes the times and the seasons. He removes kings and he establishes kings. Much like Daniel 4:25, where God rules in the kingdoms of men. He establishes kings, he takes them down. He establishes rulers, he removes them. This is God showing his sovereign power in the world. Into verse 21, it says, he gives wisdom to wise men and knowledge to men of understanding. So he gives wisdom. You remember whenever Solomon was getting ready to take over the kingship that his daddy possessed, King David, what did Solomon pray for? Wisdom and understanding. Well, God promised him many things, but he only asked for wisdom and understanding. So because of that, now God goes ahead and gives him the things that he did not ask for, but he gives wisdom to wise men. So here is the beneficial, this is the benevolent character of God and the consistency of God. He gives wisdom to wise men and knowledge to men of understanding. Well, what were Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Did they have, and had they exhibited the ability to be wise? The ability to understand and to learn? God does not reveal things, and he does not give things to men who at least don't have some ability, have shown at least some ability before that to display these things. Then in verse 22, we have the omniscience of God. So we have the sovereignty, we have the benevolence and the consistency of God. Now we look at his omniscience, his all-knowing. For it is he who reveals the profound and hidden things. He knows what is in the darkness, and the light dwells with him. So God knows what takes place in the darkness. There's nothing that is hidden from his eyes. He knows exactly what is taking place. And then in verse 23, he is the God of immutability and reliability. What does it mean to be reliable? What's it mean to be reliable? That's true. What does it mean if you're reliable? Huh? Okay, you can be counted on. You're going to be there. You're going to do what you said you're going to do, so you're reliable. Well, what about immutability? Okay? And so when you look at this, to be immutable means unchangeable. Unchangeable. So God's characteristics, the way he deals with things and the power that he has, he doesn't have this power today and then it's gone tomorrow. You know, that's not there, present with God. So now, verse 23, to you, O God of my fathers, I give praise, thanks and praise. For you have given me wisdom and power. Even now you have made known to me what we requested of you, for you have made known to us the king's matter. This idea of God, he changes not. Jesus says of himself that I was the same yesterday, today, and what? Forever. He doesn't change. And the same thing is true with God. Now, he deals with man in different ways. We've gone through and read, we have a patriarchal system. We have the Mosaic system. We're living in the Christian system, Christian age. But now as we think about God, his overall character, nature, it has not changed. I would like to think that through the years I've gotten smarter. Wouldn't you? I've gotten smarter. I would like to think that. Sometimes I wonder. I mean, have I? Seems like I do dumber stuff now more often than I used to. But, I mean, I still think I'm smarter. But God doesn't wake up tomorrow and suddenly he's smarter than he was yesterday. Nor does God wake up tomorrow and he's what? Dumber than he was yesterday. These are things that are unchanging about God, part of his immutability. And so, as God is historically been dealing with people, then Daniel realizes that God doesn't change, and I can rely upon him. Oh. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, you cannot. I mean, and that's what, you know, the idols that they were involved in worshiping and everything, they were gods of their own makings and all of that stuff. And yet, what this event here, because from the beginning, what does Daniel do? He gives credit to God, credit to God, credit to God. I'm only able to do this because of who God is and what God has revealed to me. And I still think, you know, that the sorcerers, the magicians, the Chaldeans, all those people, they were right. They said no one on earth can reveal this. Now they're thinking about their gods, their idol gods that they worshiped, but in reality that statement is so true. There is not a man on earth who can tell you what you dreamed. You can't. And this is just goes in line with 1 Corinthians 2 as talking about the secret things belong to whom? Okay, Ben, then Eric.
One of the intriguing things about this is if the Chaldeans and sorcerers was as good as they thought they was, they could have fabricated it because the king didn't know. He couldn't remember. They could have told any story and an ending to that story if they had been good.
Right.
They relied, I guess, on the books like you were talking about.
Yep, and that's one of the things, until reading in this and everything, I'd never had this presented in all my years of study where they had a book that they went to. And so you tell me your dream, I'll flip over here, and, oh, this is under, I've got them alphabetized, and this falls under the H category, and then, okay, this is what your dream means. Huh? Yeah, that is true. Yeah. All right, Eric.
But Daniel, in verse 17 in chapter 1, it says he can understand all kinds of visions and dreams. He didn't know the dream that Nebuchadnezzar had.
Right.
But knowing Daniel, Daniel didn't sleep that night. Daniel prayed.
Yeah, that's what I think he was doing.
I think he did too, because that's all he ever did.
Right.
If something pressed him, he always went into prayer.
Right.
He was always in prayer. But all four of them knew. In the last year it says, "For you have made known to us the king's matter." So all four of them knew.
Right.
Just Daniel that can interpret it, but all four of them knew that dream.
Right. Because God had revealed it to them. And so as we think about moving on through this, and folks, we're down to verse 24. And so we got approximately halfway through the chapter. That's what I was hoping to do this morning, to set this, because now we're going to get into the vision as Daniel is going to reveal it, and we're going to be looking at then the interpretation of the dream. And so we'll pick that up on Wednesday night. Ian won't be here Wednesday night, and so we'll pick that up on Wednesday. And hopefully we'll get through Daniel 2 and Wednesday night, and then we'll move on into Daniel chapter 3 next Sunday. All right.